This is Barbara Ellistad and John Taylor with the Mesquite Citizen Journal, and we're continuing our week-long interview series with all of the Mesquite City Council candidates in the 2013 election. And today we have Bunny Wiseman with us. So Bunny, we'd like to start with a short introduction. If you could tell us how long you've lived in Mesquite and some of the organizations, activities that you're involved with.
Okay, I am Bunny Wiseman, and we purchased our house here in Sunset Greens 12 years ago. However, we were snowbirds for a few years, and we actually moved down here full-time 5 years ago. So I know all about the summers, and they're not all that bad. Before we moved down here, I was a finance manager at a car dealership for like 18 years. And I was, the last 8 years that we lived in Salt Lake, I was on the Board of Adjustments for Riverton City, which is a suburb of Salt Lake and has about 40,000 people there. But I think that's it.
Okay, some of the activities that you're involved in with the Mesquite community.
I'm most involved in Mesquite with the arts of Mesquite. I think arts and culture is extremely important to any town, and actually it's one of the reasons that we moved here, besides golf. In the arts, I've been president of the Virgin Valley Artists Association, been treasurer of the Virgin Valley Artists Association. I've been vice president of the theater. I've directed quite a few plays, been in a couple of plays, but I prefer directing. I teach 2 art classes. I teach a drawing class, and I also teach a painting class over at the new classroom, which is behind the art gallery. I'm one of the 2 people who are co-chairman of the Mesquite Community Theater, which is the actual running of the theater, not just the use of it.
Okay. All right. John, you want to start with the first question?
Okay. Bunny, obviously the City Council doesn't have any control over Overton Power District. However, what are your thoughts about the mayor's quest to find a new power supplier, and how would you do that?
I think that it is accurate to say that they are a private company and we cannot make them do anything. And I also think that there are a couple things that we can do, a couple choices we have, but no matter what choice we have to make it very carefully so that we don't wind up in more trouble than we're in now. One of the things we want to keep in consideration is that they have the ability to raise our prices without any time, any amount they want to. And I think we need to do everything we can to move ourselves out of that position, away from a monopoly. I would like to see, I'd like to consider further 2 different options. One option being bringing on another power company, for example, I believe it's the Virgin that would like to possibly come on, Virgin Power Company. Or the Valley Power Company, that's what it is, Virgin Valley, Valley Power Company. And we could probably do that in a fairly short amount of time without too much difficulty, but we have to consider Overton Power, because if we split our power needs into 2 different companies, and Overton Power starts to go under, that's liable to cause the city more financial difficulties than we want to even think about. The other option would be to find some new sources of power that are not another company in the same OPD area. And of course everybody gets excited when you talk about other sources of power, and probably here, because of our beautiful sunshine, that's the way to go with the power. But now we can't do that on a short term, so if it's going to take 2 to 3 years for us to get a solar power plant up and running, we're still going to have to be friends with the Overton Power until we get that going. Personally, and not having done as much research on it as I would like to have done, I would like to see us go for some solar power in Mesquite.
Okay.
All right. What are your thoughts about making the Gold Butte area a national conservation area with or without wilderness? And how do you think it would serve as an economic development engine, whether it's an NCA or not?
The Gold Butte area, I've walked up there, I've hiked up there with some friends, and it's something that we really need to protect. On the other hand, it needs to be open to as many people as possible to go up there. This is one of the issues where I have one foot on each side of the line. I really do, because my husband likes to ATV. Now, he doesn't go out and tear up the desert. He's one of the old guys who's happy to go 20 miles an hour and take pictures. So he and I have this discussion that he doesn't want to have it shut down to ATVers.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, having seen a lot of things he hasn't seen since I hike and stop and look, can kind of not want to take any chance on someone else tearing it up or defacing it. So I think that all the factions involved need to come together in a manner that they can decide whether designation is right or not. They can determine which areas should be open, which areas should be closed. And you can't just have people who use it come together. You're not going to accomplish anything there. You need to have people come together who have the power to make a decision. And there was a time over at the Chamber of Commerce, I was on the Chamber of Commerce a little over a year, there was a time that we were working to try and get that to happen. But it's not easy to get the right people together to make a final decision. And so I think that's what we need to do. Economically was the second part of your question. I think that at one time I thought that there was going to be the availability of us to put a ramp getting through that area into the water. That would bring a lot of people to Mesquite. Don't think that's going to happen now because evidently the water's too low. But I do think there's a possibility that if we get all of our little problems solved and know who can go where, that maybe this could be, Mesquite could be, a place people come specifically to go out to our beautiful little Gold Butte area.
Okay, thanks.